Hello everybody, welcome back. This is Mandy from Hope Designs and I'm going to try something I've never done before today. And this is a technique I learned from Karen at Waterfall Acrylics, and she does some obviously beautiful work. Arisa has also done a couple that have been really beautiful. So I have some turquoise green cell activator that I need to use, and I thought it might be fun to try this technique. So Karen calls this a deconstructed bloom, mostly because you put your pillow paint down on your canvas, you blow out some puddles, and then you tilt, but it's not going to be kind of like a circular bloom because by the time you tilt, it kind of stretches out. So I really love it. I think it's a beautiful abstract design. I mean, all of what we do is abstract, right? But I think they're really beautiful. So in a previous live stream, we did this 8-inch bloom on a cradled wood round. These colors, I really love the way this looks together. And I used the turquoise green cell activator. So I'm going to try using these same colors, which were actually Leslie's suggestion. I love them. But the only thing I'm going to do different is underneath the puddle, I'm going to put 1 or 2 colors just to give it a little bit of opacity underneath because we're going to be stretching it out a lot. And so I'm torn between using Amsterdam Ultramarine Violet, which is this color. Ooh, this has been mixed up for a minute too. It might need to be thinned out. Or Atelier Turquoise Light, which has also been mixed up for a little bit. So I'm on the fence. I might actually sprinkle a little bit of both of them down. Let me get my Jo Sonja water mix just to thin down any paints that are too thick. The only thing I added to my house paint, which is Glitz Premium in Eggshell, is I added a tiny bit of GAC 800, mostly just to make it just a little bit more fluid so it would stretch and get to the corners and all that it needs to do a little bit easier. So I thinned this down a little bit with some Jo Sonja and water mixture, which is 3 parts Jo Sonja to 1 part water. So what I do, if you missed my mixing video, I take an old Jo Sonja bottle and I fill it up with the ratio, and then I just put a sticker or something on the top so I know what it is. You can also thin down paints that are a little too thick with a little bit of polyacrylic. Either one will work. So I've actually never used this color before. I really like it. Sometimes I have colors that I really like, but I don't know what to use them with. So I think I may actually, so I've had one of 2 thoughts: to do like this color as the base for one, and this color as the base for the other. Or just do 2 little miniature puddles. So I think that's what I'm going to do. So the other colors we're going to use today, and I'm going to show you them in order. And I always list them in the description box in order as well, because I think as an artist that really helps me to know how people layered things in case I want to try it. So this is Aquarius, and this is one of the Jelly Beans Glitz colors from Primary Elements, and it is so pretty. I don't know if you can see that. Let me see if you can even see what I'm showing you. Yeah. Look at the cute little paddles. They're so cute. Okay, so there's that one. And then the next one is Fairy Wings, excuse me. And I actually mixed this one up in my mixing video. So super beautiful. Okay, and then Sweet Tooth. And this has been mixed up for a bit too, so let me check on the consistency. This is also from the Jelly Bean set. Both of those other ones were too. It's really pretty pink. Super pretty. And Pineapple Crush, which I love. I mean, I love all of them, right? So super, super beautiful. Probably one of the most beautiful yellows. It's pretty delicious. And then I'm going to put a tiny bit of black. And this is just regular old black. This is, most likely this is either Golden Carbon Black Fluid or Atelier Carbon Black Fluid. I'm not sure which one. We're just going to put a tiny, tiny bit under our cell activator. Okay. I also broke out my old Bloom dryer that I've never had any success with. I know a lot of people do. It's not the product, it's the operator. So I have this one. It doesn't blow very hard on cool. I don't even know if you can see that. But that might be good for me because I have the Yeeho out, which is a little more powerful. But the thing I'm concerned about with the Yeeho is it blows so well. I'm concerned it's going to stick to the canvas and then we won't be able to move it very well. So that's the method to my madness. So let's start by getting the pillow paint out. I know that was probably a long explanation, but it's something new. So, and I will link Karen's channel below, of course. I'm sure most of you already watch her. And Arisa's as well, because she's done some really beautiful work with these too. So normally I would have already put the pillow down, but because this is a new technique for me, I would rather kind of tell you what I'm doing because that would help me. So I'm not going to put a tiny puddle because ultimately I don't want to have to stretch from the middle to the corners. I want to stretch from kind of either side of the canvas. So this is probably going to use quite a bit of pillow paint, but I think in an effort to save some of it, I'm going to move some of it around myself because this is a lot of paint. So just kind of move some of it to the center. I left my spatula in the other room. I do have an omelet spatula that would probably work a little better for this. So this is still pretty thick, even with the GAC 800. So the only reason I put that in is because to tilt corner to corner is a lot of tilting. So you want to make sure that you have enough to get to those corners without having to completely compromise your design. The other part of that is you can always add a little bit to help it flow, but I'm just going to bang this down to pop those bubbles I just created. My dogs were like, what is your deal? Okay. And then just going to even that out just a little bit. So if you want to know how I mix my paints for blooms, I just did a mixing video. You know, those are always super boring, but we all learn from them. So I will do my best to link it in the description box. So if you're looking for one. So yeah, so let's check this bad boy out. I hope I have enough there. I think one thing I am going to do is I'm going to do away with that little guy. I think I'm going to round the corners here because the corners are going to be the most problematic. Yeah, so this is a 12 by 16. This is a level 1. Since I'm experimenting, I figured I would use some of my level 1 canvases until I feel pretty comfortable with that. The only thing that concerns me a little bit now is, are 2 blooms enough? Like if I do this, is it enough? Or should I do bloom, bloom, bloom? I think I'm going to do 2 big ones and see what happens. Yeah, I'll just use a lot of color. So again, we're experimenting, right? So it's not supposed to be perfect. So the reason I'm going to block these together, so I'm going to do, let me show you kind of my plan. And I really need to not get too close to the edge here. And I'm going to do fairly large puddles to make sure I have enough color. So I'm going to do these in puddles because that will allow some of that color to separate and some of it to blend. I believe both of these colors are opaque. I know the Atelier is. So that's just going to help us keep some of our color saturation as we stretch. So I don't know if I'm going to like that in a minute, but let's see. And on this side, I'm going to kind of do the opposite direction. Now, if I'm correct, even the parts that blow out in kind of like blocky colors, well, that should help our design because it should create some lines. If, you know, if it goes like I think it will, which is not usually the case in fluid art land. Usually you have something in mind and like 18 other things happen other than what you had in mind. But that's the story. That's what I have in my head anyway. Super pretty colors. This one might be a little too close to the end. My fear is that I started these too close to the corner and I'm going to lose a ton of the composition tilting it, you know? So let's see how it blows out. If it blows out and it needs more, then we can always add some smaller ones, right? So no bigs. So here is Aquarius. We're going to just plop that right in the middle. Awesome, Amanda. Awesome, awesome. Why did you do that? Can't be as messy because this is our negative space, right? So that's probably okay. But this here could be our negative space, so need to be a little less messy. Aquarius. All right. Maybe not holding the paint over the canvas is a good plan. Next up, fairy wings. My dogs are snoring. I don't know if y'all can hear that. All right. Trying to manage my drips here. Alrighty, let's see. Fairy wings. Oh, I love it so much. And Sweet Tooth. We did it again, y'all. Okay. That's probably okay right there. Some of these I've had mixed up since we did the live with the new set, so they haven't gotten as much action as they need here. Okay. Pineapple Crush. It's just delicious. I mean, how can you not love that color? Even if you don't like yellow, you like this color. I mean, I like yellow. I don't paint with yellow a lot, but I love the different shades this color brought to that bloom. When it dried, I was like, man, that's really pretty. I would have, and that's what I love about letting other people give suggestions is sometimes people pick colors I would never put together, and then I end up really, really liking them. So I'm only going to do one blowout at a time. So tiny black. And then I'm going to do the cell activator. So I'm going to go ahead and put tiny black over here. And what that does, when you put a tiny bit of black or a tiny bit of white in your pouring medium underneath your cell activator, I learned this from Shelley. it does this really cool thing with your cells. I can't explain it. It sort of outlines them like it would if you used a double cell activator. But it creates like almost like a ghost cell look. So like the white will surround the color if you get those really beautiful peacock cells, and it creates just this really cool depth. The black it does the same thing, but it has a way of almost traveling with your cell activator. And so it adds just kind of a dramatic little pop of color without really having to worry if your cell activators are compatible to use as a double cell activator. Because sometimes double cell activator works great and sometimes it doesn't. So wish me luck. This I mixed up quite a while ago. I don't know. I mixed this up in April. That's still a while ago. So I thought it was from way back then. Sometimes I mix up paint thinking I'm going to have all this time to paint, and then I don't. And then I'm like frantic to try to use it because it's probably too much cell activator. All right. I'm nervous. Okay. I'll let that one come together. That actually did pretty well. This will continue to form, so I'm going to ignore that for a second, resist the urge to mess with it. I tried to be kind of intentional about blowing these out because that's what's ultimately going to stretch. But I love this right here. Maybe I need to use that little guy more often. Maybe I've just progressed in my bloom skills since I bought it. When I bought it, I was like, I'm not good at this blow dryer thing. But it's kind of the perfect bit of air. Not too much, not too little. So if you have that little dryer, I used it on cool on high. And so I'm no pro at this hair dryer thing, but you kind of hold it up high and watch for it to catch and then maneuver it. I don't think I used enough cell activator on that one, but this one's a little closer to the edge, so that's probably okay. Just gonna hit this part. Okay, so it's not gonna be perfect. I am gonna take my turkey baster and blow out the center where I have a little bit too much in some areas, but I'm gonna let that alone for a little bit. What's happening right here, let me see if I can show you guys up close before I potentially mess it up. Whoa, I almost fell off the stool. What's happening right here, whoa, that's not working. Ooh, autofocus. What's happening right here is super pretty. The bummer is it's probably going to get tilted off. But this kind of encourages me to practice a little bit more with the hairdryer. I'm a little nervous about this right here. So let me bring you guys back out. So I'm going to blow this a little bit to try to catch up with the turquoise. Just because I have a lot of this color. I didn't do as well blowing this part out. So I can't wait too long to tilt this. And I was going to blow this with the turkey baster a little bit, but I think I better just start to tilt. So anytime you have too much in the middle, when you take another tool like a straw or a turkey baster, the goal is not to blow out more cells. The goal is to break the surface tension that's there. The cells will come on their own. I hope you guys can see. So if you can see what I just did there, it took that extra stuff and it started to create some more cells. So one of my greatest disasters with blooms is overblowing and overworking the center. Okay, so for the rest of this, I've reduced another 30 minutes to a quick voiceover because there was a lot to learn with doing this. So as you can see, this bloom on the top right is a lot better in composition than the one on the bottom. But what I'm struggling with at this point is the middle isn't moving. So a lot of the composition that actually would have been great for this particular technique was heavily impacted by that center not moving because it ends up getting very warped. So I'm stretching it here and trying to get it to the ends without completely losing the parts that are nice. So some of the things I learned with my first trial here is put a little bit more pillow underneath where you're going to put your puddles. So when you blow out the bloom, you have a little bit of wiggle room. I did use the dryer that doesn't blow as harsh because I didn't want it to blow all the way down to the bottom. So I guess I could have also just blown it myself versus using the dryer. But ultimately, the other thing I think I learned was I really think these corner to corner things are really neat. I've seen Karen do one where she did a bloom on either side and then one kind of underneath in the middle. That might have given me a little bit more to work with where I could have stretched it out without losing so much of the composition. But I think what I'd like to try on the next one is maybe do a 10 by 20 where I only have to stretch it across 10 inches instead of 16, and maybe just do the puddles right down the center, just to make it the tilting process a little bit more even. I didn't think about that in this experiment, that doing one on the corner might really be more of a after you've tried this once or twice move. Ultimately, I don't hate the way it turned out. Somewhere in the middle of that, I was asking you guys, what would you do if you were me? But I don't want you guys to sit through 50 minutes of me trying to figure this out when it's not, what I'm doing is not really all that spectacular. I would totally watch it if somebody was really blowing my mind with what they were doing, but I was like, what am I going to do? So there is going to be a close-up at the end. I still really love the colors together. In fact, it kind of makes me want to do another bloom with these same colors, and maybe one with the turquoise, one with the ultramarine violet. I really love the colors together. So the end result ends up being kind of wispy and soft, which is okay. I think the way I would hang the composition would be upright, not on its side. I did have some bubbles because of stirring in the GAC 800 with my pillow before pouring. So I was kind of bummed about the bubbles. But what I do sometimes when I have a couple of bubbles that are noticeable is I'll take a toothpick and I'll dip it into a pigment color that's in the background, and at least it mutes the bubbles a little bit so that when I resin it, it's not as noticeable. So ultimately this is far different than what I was going for. I'm certainly no Karen, but I love the technique. I love what she's done with it. I will keep trying it. I will keep sharing the efforts. But if you haven't checked out some of this work that she's done recently, you have to check it out. It's really very beautiful. And I just love the creativity involved in it. I also at some point messed up one of the corners because it had some paint glob in it. So I put some interference color just to soften what I did. So I had a lot of struggles in this, what I thought would be a quick effort. But it was still a lot of fun. And again, I didn't use a very expensive canvas, so it was worth trying. So I'm excited to see what it looks like under resin. I always ask my husband, is this ugly? He says, no, it's nice. It'll look great with resin on it. Okay. But ultimately, he's probably going to say that about almost all of the paintings, and then they all live here forever because, you know, he likes them because he's biased. But he is honest. If he doesn't particularly like something, he is honest with me. I love the block of color in this top right-hand corner. It looks really beautiful up close. And I think it's really cool how we got this like soft brown color as it stretched out. I think it's really cool. So I hope you guys don't mind that I sped you up a little bit. I just can't imagine that you watching me tilt this every which way for 30 more minutes would add any value to your life. And I didn't want to cut out some of the explanation in the beginning because a lot of it was kind of explaining where I learned it from and kind of my thought process. And those things really help me when I'm trying something new for the first time. So I appreciate when people explain what they're doing. So hopefully this was fun for you to join along. There's going to be a close-up coming up. Thanks again for watching. All right, so here it is. Certainly not a perfect effort. I do have some bubbles I need to try to deal with, but this is kind of what I mean. It kind of folded over on itself. So a few things I learned. Put a little more pillow in the middle under the blooms. I really love this. And what's cool is a little bit of a brown color formed with the mixture of colors. I really love that. I think that area is really cool. And I really love this, especially right here with all the shimmer. I like this part. It's obviously not what I intended, like these weird cells down here. But I like the kind of the soft shimmer. It kind of looks like layers of rock. Obviously rock isn't that color, but look at that shimmer. Look at that. It's flipping gorgeous. Just a smidge of shimmer over in this white part of the negative space, which is great. I love this part right here. This is debatable. I don't hate it. I like this part right here. Kind of reminds me of one of the swipes I did way back in the day when I was terrible at them. But yeah, so here it is. I would probably hang it. I know that this is not going to be the composition that y'all see, but I would probably hang it upright. So I'll try to do a resin result if I resin it, or show you. I think I will resin it just because of the interest of the primary elements in here. But yeah, let me know what you think. Good first try. I definitely learned some things that I would do differently again. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Join our Facebook group, Fluid Art Friends. Don't forget about the discount codes listed below. I appreciate you guys. Talk to you soon.